often I find that what kind of pushes the Jesus centering out is that the Christine and her problem centering goes in, and I need someone to help me get that stuff out of my mind. So then I find like, oh, there's space again for God, the Spirit of God. Like, it's suddenly I've got a bit of joy and I've got a bit of peace. Hey everyone, it's Chris here. I am so glad you've joined us for Propel. Hey everyone, it's Chris here. I am so glad that you've joined us today for our Propel Women Life and Leadership podcast. I'm here with my ever faithful co-host, Rachel, and I'm sure we'll bring you some amusement. And this is the very last week in this series of Q&A, and I would love to have told you, look, our dream was that we were going to do like 30 questions. And
that was a lofty goal.
It was a lofty goal, but you know, we thought that through Christ we could do all things, but this is not one thing that we could do.
No.
But your feedback has shown us that you are really enjoying this, and you'd rather that I go a little bit deeper with a couple than just kind of skim over the top. And, it is just my way of being able to say, look, whatever I've got, it's yours. Whatever I've learned over these last 35 years, I want to pour it out to you. If I can help stop you from making some mistakes, it would be awesome. If I could help keep encouraging you that you're on the right track, keep believing God, the best is yet to come, that's awesome as well. So I kind of love this whole Q&A thing, and I'll be interested to see what you got for me today, Rachel.
Yeah, so as we're wrapping up this series, what we're going to tackle, well, rather what you're going to tackle and I'm going to glean from, is how do we stay Jesus-centered in those moments when goals are daunting, criticism is high, burnout is creeping in, and we're just exhausted. How do you stay Jesus-centered during those moments? And I know you have a lot to say on this one. So, bars low, one question. Talk to us a little bit about right now how you tackle just navigating staying Jesus-centered when so many things are daunting.
Yeah, I think it's, there is no one silver bullet. Well, we'd all love to have that. But life is just life, isn't it? So you get hit on all sides at times. Yeah. And I remember when I wrote, How Did I Get Here? It was like just in a time where I had been bombarded on every front, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and you're just trying to survive. So you're like Jesus-centered. So, and I think what can happen, I'm thinking in particular that season, I felt a little bit like Elijah, and I'm waiting for some great sympathy from God, because I'm like, here I am doing your work and I'm being bombarded from all fronts and it's just too much and I'm just so exhausted and, I'm being attacked and this is happening. And the Lord's sort of like, this is the way it happens with me. He's just, with people like you, Rachel, he tends to be very soft and gentle and merciful with me. It's kind of like, what are you doing in this cave? Like, what are you doing up here? I'm feeling sorry for you. I'm like, oh, great. Awesome. Thanks. And it's like, get up and eat something. And I'm just kind of like, I'm saying that to go, sometimes the best way to stay Jesus-centered is to do just something that it seems very natural and it might even seem sort of like carnal, but it's like, maybe you're trying. And there's two sides to this, because you might be like, oh, man, I'm trying to have my quiet time and I'm trying to listen to worship music and I'm trying to go to church and I'm being bombarded by all of these things and I can barely make it. Maybe the best thing you can do is go for a walk outside in some nature, go for a swim, go watch a movie, go and have a beautiful meal that, you didn't have to prepare, that's going to make just something, go light a candle, do something that is going to just change the state of your body. Go and exercise. For me, it's exercising. So to me, everyone's waiting for, wait, Christine, I thought you were going to tell us that you were going to do another Bible study. Sometimes, and again, that's what I mean, there's so many factors here. It really depends that if I'm at a place and I'm just feeling so overwhelmed, I might need just a good laugh with a friend. I might just need some people to go out with and absolutely just crack up and just laugh and get my mind off what's going on. And I know that they're for me. I know they're not going to take me down any sort of bad path or anything, but, it's just a good old-fashioned fun, and they're going to make me laugh. Or, they're going to send me like the dumbest memes that are just going to crack me. I've got this one friend. I'm sure she's on the planet for that. She sends me these reels because I don't spend that much time scrolling and whatever. So she sends things to me and she goes, watch these. And I'm like, I'm doubled over on the floor crying, laughing over just like, you need those people in your life. The ones that are
Absolutely.
just I'm going to make you watch all of this. I'm going to make you do this. And someone that's like, let's just go. Let's go hike a mountain. Let's go find some nature. Let's just kind of get out. So sometimes the way to keep it Christ-centered is to get out in nature, get out amongst the people of God, get out in a situation where you're going, I can get out of my own head. That's the biggest thing, because often I find that what kind of pushes the Jesus centering out is that the Christine and her problem centering goes in, and I need someone to help me get that stuff out of my mind. So then I find like, there's space again for God, the Spirit of God. Like, it's suddenly I've got a bit of joy and I've got a bit of peace and I've got a bit of life. And then I can more readily go to the Word and I can more readily put on some worship music and go, okay. But sometimes if I try to start there, when I'm particularly overwhelmed, it just does not work for me in that way. And then I have to have, I have to have some rhythms in my life that just, make room for God. And whether I do that well every time, it's not that I come out of every time that I've allotted to God going, that was a 10 out of 10 home run. Me and Jesus, man, he just downloaded the next, it is not like that. But the very fact that I have created some space and made some time lends itself to me staying very Jesus first in that way. And the hardest thing is when you are so overwhelmed and you're a doer. I'm a doer. I'm a problem solver. Action is my thing. My default is to try to go and get as many things done and do it myself rather than go, okay, let me just create space for Jesus and to be with Jesus and to trust him that he is going to help me find a way through whatever it is that I need to find a way through. So again, no silver bullet, because sometimes it's go have a donut and other times it's go get on a treadmill and other times it's go and open your Bible. Basically that's what it would come down to.
Yeah. So I know just from sitting in meetings and things with you and with Nick, your phones are blowing up oftentimes with A21 stories. I feel like at least every other meeting with Nick, he's like, I just got this text from this A21 office and these survivors were separate. It's good news, but it's also heartbreaking. Like it's such a catch-22 in those moments when you almost get sort of like thrown off or blindsided with unexpected information that is so emotional. How in those moments do you stay Jesus-centered when life sort of like is in your face and there's nothing you can do about it?
I think because I do have a practice truly of lamenting and grieving and calling evil evil. The fact is that we can't stop acknowledging what is evil. The trafficking of human beings is evil. What traffickers do to those women and children and men, is evil. And so having sort of that righteous anger is a great thing. Having room to grieve that doing what they do to children, I mean, it's gut-wrenching. It is on every level. I'm a mother, it's like shocking. It doesn't stop shocking me. The level of depravity doesn't stop shocking me at all. So having a space where we can really process that means that when again, like first responders, when they turn up to an accident, you are graced to do that. Like, you are not going to go into a breakdown at that moment. You are going to do what you need to do, man. You're going to pull out, you're going to start to resuscitate people. You're going to put needles in people and IV drip. And okay, so Nick and I are very graced at, whatever we're getting calls from around the world to, in that moment, to be like a first responder. I think the Lord's graced us to do that. And then when we're out of that moment and you're like, whoa, do you know what just happened in Cambodia, or just like what happened in Bulgaria? There is a place to be able to debrief that. And some stuff is just really harder to process. Like for me, especially some of the stories, I remember when my kids were really young, we had just started A21, and I couldn't go. I went once to Thailand and down the streets where they're selling 4-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds. And I just literally said to Nick, I have to go. Like I couldn't do that trip. I went back to the hotel and just sobbed like I haven't sobbed in many, many years. And I could not even grapple with what would be, looking at my kid in a stroller and then thinking what these children were going through. And I didn't go back personally to that part. I went to our offices in Ukraine and Africa and in Greece and here in America and South America, because it's a different type of trafficking en masse. That was just so much and so overwhelming. Sorry, that was just so overwhelming for me. And so I think you've got to have that space where that, and I actually went after that one for about 6 months to therapy, because I really needed to process that at a much deeper level. I mean, we've got great counselors at A21, and we really have great support for all of our aftercare workers for this very reason, because you could easily get into a spiral of like, where is God? How could God allow this suffering? If God is a good God, how could he allow so much evil? And so I have to grapple with those questions every day. So really, when people have questions about suffering and loss and, if God is a good God, how can this, I feel, at least from personal experience, I can really go there with them and understand and empathize and say, and also, here is how I've resolved that, and how, I truly believe that God is a good God, and actually it is only the existence of God that helps me to understand the craziness that is going on in the midst of all of that. But, you've got to be able to, and especially if you're in any kind of high-performing job, so you could be in the corporate sector, you could be in sectors like I'm involved in, you have to know when to put your hand up and say, I need some help. So that one for me, in those early days in Thailand, I was like, if I'm going to stay in this work, I need some help on how to process this stuff and be able to do it. Now that could happen whether, in different degrees, whatever work you're involved in, or stock market, just high pressure, high performance. You've got to be able to switch from one gear to the other really, really quickly. We're emotional. You can't always disconnect your head from your heart, and these things are interconnected, and so you got to know what to do with it in a moment. So I think recognizing what help I need and when, and who I need in my corner and where, is really, really important.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I just realized what our timer is at. Okay, so I want to end. I just want to end very simply with this question on being Jesus-centered. You are 30 plus years into ministry. At the very, very beginning of this Q&A series, you told us about being a little girl in the Greek Orthodox Church and sensing a call then. And then somewhere in this series at like 21, 22, committing to Jesus. And now here we are, you're 57, pouring so much wisdom into so many of us. How after all these years do you stay still so in love with Jesus?
Because I'm just, there's no one like him. I don't really quite know what to say. Is that this was never like sort of some sort of career for me. This is like, this is built. This is an overflow. Any ministry that I've done is an overflow of my personal relationship with Jesus. And he's just faithful, and he is just worthy, and he is the real deal. The Bible says that God is light, and in him there is no darkness. Jesus has no dark side. I mean, I've been let down by a lot of people. I've probably let a lot of people down. I haven't done everything right. There's been discouragement and betrayal and hurt along the way and disappointments, but Jesus has never failed me, and Jesus has always been there, and Jesus has just always been faithful. And so I think that he delivers. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. He delivers. And 35 years later, that's what I want to tell someone, that He delivers. People mightn't, we certainly are not who we thought we were, but he is better than we ever imagined, more faithful than we could have ever fathomed. And I'm still in it for him. And he's still worthy of our all and every ounce of our all. He saved me. He delivered me. He healed me. He restored me. He continues to guide me. He continues to be who I'm running for. Continues to be who I'm running towards. He continues to be my reason for being. It always was Jesus. It always will be Jesus. That's all I got for you.
That is more than enough. That is more than enough. I am so glad we did this Q&A series. I love this. I know we're going to do it again because this was so much fun.
Well, we haven't even scratched the surface on the questions. Let alone now. We're going to get a whole lot more. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that we're ever going to be able to keep up.
I feel like we should apologize. We did a terrible job of answering the list. But I'm so glad we did this. And we have something so fun coming up in this next series.
I have loved all of our Q&A, but I cannot wait until next week. Now, listen, girls, you are not going to want to miss not one episode in our special Summer Sabbath series. Now, I already know some of you are flinching because I put that word Sabbath between summer and series. It's the SSS. You do not want to miss it because it is going to be the most down-to-earth, practical reality kind of how we've asked all of our friends, how do you do Sabbath? And so you've got corporate women, you've got busy stay-at-home mums, you've got single women and married women and women in the marketplace. And it has I had a pen and paper ready every single week. We demystified it. This is not for the person that has all the time in the world and is living kind of in a monastery in some island. This is for people that are doing real life. You've got a kid hanging off your ankle while you're going to the bathroom. You've got a boss needing the next quarter report done. I mean, it's for those kind of chicks. So if basically you suck at Sabbath, this is for you. That's the best way that I can say. I really think you are going to love this so very much. And every week we glean a bit of gold from different women. And so Rachel and I are so glad that you'll be joining us. Don't miss one of these. We'll see you in our Summer Sabbath series. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe to this channel to get notified every time a new video is posted. We are so glad that you're here and look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.